Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 700 of The Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And although it's a milestone episode, I'm not doing a full-on milestone party, but we do have milestone quality guests. We'll be hearing from Steve Heathcock, having a chat with him about his Follow England single. We'll be hearing from Sir Tony Robbinson, aka Baldrick, and the star of Time Team, and so many other shows, looking at the past, as we talk about how we look to the future with the game Floodlands and how we avoid an environmental catastrophe. We'll be having a chat with Ayden Callaghan. He is one of the stars of The Bodyguard. He's, of course, Emmerdale and Hollyoaks, and he is at the Grand in May next year. We'll talk to the team for the T2 Sports podcast, how things are going in Season 5, and look forward to Season 6. Plus, Quintin Wilson's along to talk electric cars, as we'll be hearing from him. Another celebrity Top Gear and all the other stuff that he's done over the years. He knows a thing or two about his vehicles. And we'll be talking about the Marsh Lane plant sale as well. That's all on the way on the show this week. The Bodyguard is at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 9th through to the 13th of May 2023. Ayden Callaghan is here to tell me more about his role. Hello, sir.
How are you, Jason? All right?
I'm good, and long time no speak. We've had a little catch-up in recent years, and Wolverhampton's got a very special place in your heart, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. As a Wolves fan, it's always very special for me to be able to come and visit the town for whatever reason.
And what was it that spurred you on to be a Wolves fan?
It was Sherpa Van Trophy final.
1988.
Yeah, it was my first ever game that I got taken to. Just happened to be that final. My uncle was a Burnley fan. Someone my dad played football with was a Wolves fan, and he decided I was old enough to go. And as we came out onto Wembley Way, I just remember being surrounded by thousands and thousands of gold shirts, and I just said, "I'll support them today." I didn't know they were in the 4th division at the time, of course, and it stuck.
Life-changing, and it's had its moments. Let's not talk about this season, but we've had some brilliant times of late.
Yeah, you know what it is, Jason? You know what, though? I think I found, maybe it's being a Wolves fan, growing up a Wolves fan, but I tend to be a foul weather fan. I'm more interested when things are going badly. When things are going well, it almost, I'm waiting for it all to go wrong. So I kind of enjoyed the struggles down through the leagues, and I didn't make enough of all the brilliance of the last couple of years, and it looks like, unfortunately, we could be a way off before we get back to that level again.
Times could change. We'll wait and see what happens there. Yeah. But the important thing at the moment is you're going to come and entertain us on stage and be part of the show that is The Bodyguard.
Yes. So I'm really excited about that. I haven't been back to Wolverhampton Theatre. It's probably been a decade. So the last time I was there, I was doing a play called Bedroom Farce. We had a brilliant week in Wolverhampton. It's a beautiful theatre. I'm coming this time with a show that's a really spectacular show. And so I really can't wait. It was one of the first dates I looked out for.
And as it is, I mean, you've got amazing co-stars in this, and you get one of the lead roles, and that makes an enjoyable time for you being there. But the whole cast is awesome. Yeah,
they've cast some wonderful actors and actresses. Obviously, Melody Thornton, former Pussycat Doll, is taking the Whitney Houston role, and obviously, she's had incredible global success. So I think it's really exciting to work with someone like that she's got a wonderful voice. So it'd be great to hear her singing those songs. And she's already done the show on the Asian tour last year, so she knows the part inside out. So and she was received really well for that. And then they cast the rest of the cast. If you looking up their CVs, some really excellent performers. So I think it's going to be a brilliant show.
And it is one of those shows where people do come back to. So they will have seen a number of different people playing those roles. And that gives you a lot to live up to, but I think you're capable, aren't you?
But yeah, it does. Yeah, and funnily enough, one of my good friends played the part I'm playing, Frank Farmer, the Costner part, he played it in the West End about 6 years ago. So we've had a good few conversations about it, and because I nearly did it a few years back actually, when it was on tour before, but for whatever reason, life and things got in the way, and it just wasn't the right time. And this time is the right time. But as you say, there's some wonderful, wonderful actors that have played the part before. So yeah, I've got some boots to fill, but I'll always back myself for sure.
But which bits are you most looking forward to?
It's a great part. It really is. I mean, if anybody that's seen the movie, the show is very true in terms of the script of the film. So it's one of those. It is a proper iconic, leading man role. So I'm looking forward to the. Sounds really boring, doesn't it? I'm really looking forward to the acting of those scenes, working on those scenes. And because the Frank Farmer part, just so you put everybody at rest, I don't have to sing.
I was going to come to that bit because I've not actually checked your CV for singing roles. I take it there's not many in there.
No, there isn't. No, and for good reason. So the Frank role really anchors the show. I mean, you come to see it, you want to hear the Whitney songs, so it makes sense, for the story to play out the way it does. But the Frank role really anchors the story, gives it real depth and a real strength. And I'm just looking forward really to being able to tell that story from beginning to end every night. I love the theatre. I've been a long time not doing theatre. I've been a long time wanting to do it, waiting for the right sort of part. And this is one of those parts that I would have been very high on my list.
Yeah, I did, and it's all part of that acting journey. I mean, your time in Hollyoaks a few years ago now, but
yes.
that was a good, fun way of doing things, being able to tell a story, and you are a storyteller, aren't you? That's the thing.
That's what you are with storytellers, and whether that's in a small theatre in a black box, or whether in a huge theatre on TV in a film, the fundamentals of the job are exactly the same. And that's what we enjoy doing, telling those stories. And as you say, working in something like a soap, which is incredibly fast paced, you've got scripts coming at you, a hell of a pace. And the story, the storylines are like, they change and they're dramatic and they move very fast, to then going back on stage where you've got the script, where it starts, the journey, and where it ends, and it's up to you to be able to make people feel what they're meant to feel every single night. And theatre is always going to be the truest test of an actor, and I think being on stage, there's no feeling like that. Being in front of a live audience and sort of getting that immediate reception from them. It's if you could bottle that, I'd be a billionaire.
It is and again, it's what gives you the buzz when you're playing a part, and it helps you play those moving scenes, and we get that in this show, and so much of the stuff that you've done in the past too.
Yeah, there's some real emotional depth to it, which again, as an actor, those are the things that you yearn for. He's great. Frank Farmer's great. He's a straight down the line leading man, but there's the romantic element, which is always, I think, the thing I struggle with more. I'm great at punching people in the face, and great at posing and pouting. But Frank gets a bit of everything. He's the strong man, but with that sort of soft vulnerability. Which is when I look at actors that I admire. People like Russell Crowe. They play those roles where they play these strong men, but there's always that vulnerability that makes them interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, all the attention received as a soap hunk over the years as well. Does that come into play here too?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that you have to draw on some of that when you're playing, because he's classed as a romantic lead. That's what he's classed as. So you have to kind of draw on that. I think that's an element in terms of how they sell the show, because it's a sexy show, isn't it? It's glamorous. It's got that. So people are coming with those expectations, and part of what makes commercial theatre work very well is that people get to see people that they've enjoyed watching on telly over the years, and then they get to see them in the flesh, and that's great for us as well.
And with this tour, obviously taking you all over the country, Wolverhampton is the May dates we talked about. But what's it like for you being back on the road again? Is it because obviously COVID really limited things an awful lot? But
Yeah,
have you been doing much on out and about of late?
well, the road is always a slog. It's tough. I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, pros and cons to everything. Obviously, you know what's great is you get to it's a great country, or United Kingdom's a great place. Wonderful towns and cities up and down. You get to see them all. Beautiful historic theatres. You get to play them all. That's great. Yeah, the road is tough, and moving week to week is tough. And I've got a family, but my boys are in school. That's part of the reason I haven't done this sort of work up until now, because it didn't quite suit. I took a career break after Hollyoaks to be at home with my family, and then just as I decided that I was sort of ready to start looking at some offers, we had the pandemic and the lockdown, which kind of put the kibosh on some stuff, and then there's been some things that haven't been quite right. So, but this is a great way for me to get back on the bike, so to speak, and I couldn't have wished for a better way, really. And
with a much loved show, an audience who, although nothing's ever guaranteed, but there will be people who've seen this on tour before. They'll be bringing people who are new to the show as well, and all it does is draw more people into the magic that is the Bodyguard.
Well, it is, and the industry has had a tough time the last few years. And we're all aware of the cost of living crisis. So asking people to part with their hard-earned on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, whatever it is, to come to the theatre, we are asking a lot of people. But also, I think there is that kind of appetite there. I think people have had a tough couple of years, and coming and seeing a show where you can kind of forget about all that, takes you along for the ride, hear some great music, see some really great dancing, and watch a story that's incredible. If you haven't seen the show or the film before, you'll find it really, really exciting. And if you have seen it, it's that wonderful nostalgia it will bring as well. I don't think for entertainment, I think it's really, really tough to beat live theatre. Maybe a top night down the mall, perhaps.
But you'd be more interested in a last minute penalty loss by the sounds of things. But...
Yeah, so I've got something to be grumpy about, a good excuse to be grumpy.
However, we'll be looking for Wolves to do well and you guys to break a leg on stage and have an awesome time with the Bodyguard. It is the 9th through to the 13th of May 2023. 01902 429212, the box office number, grandtheatre.co.uk to get your tickets. Have you got socials as well so we can see the tour as it develops?
Yeah, always happy to hear from people. I'm Ayden Callaghan on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. I can't handle any more than that. I'm kind of a bit too old and grouchy to be able to cope with any more of the new social media stuff. But I'm often chatting to Wolves fans on there, or arguing with Wolves fans sometimes on there. But yeah, contact me on there. And look, I'd love to see as many of you down there as possible. It's going to be a great show.
It is going to be awesome. We know that. You're a star, as is the rest of the cast. It's going to be awesome. It is the Bodyguard at the Grand. Ayden, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason.
The TWF Sports Podcast are doing some amazing things. They've just had a brilliant time talking about the World Cup. To tell us more, I'm joined now by two of the hosts, Alyssa Dunn and Tom Watkins. How are you doing both?
We're doing great.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I know you've literally just finished talking to a Premier League footballer.
Literally.
So I know it's a busy time for you. But what's it like continuing with the podcast, even though you're now not always on the same site as you were back in the day when you started it?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of upgrades for the recent episodes, and a lot more topics can be involved, and also just a variety of pros and cons that they had to do during their journey through sport, mainly.
Plus, we're in an actual recording room now.
That's true, yeah.
We're not using some coffee room.
You're not hiding in a cupboard, which is often the way it works.
No, we are not hiding in no cupboard.
So you have a proper studio, fully branded clothing. I mean, this is the way forward, isn't it? And the important thing is, though, it is good fun to do, and you get to talk to some amazing people. Who've been the recent highlights? Tom normally says somebody who's played rugby, but come up, see what you can come up with.
Wow, during the World Cup episode, we've got like the two Daves, and then
That was confusing.
yeah, and Dave Edwards and Dave Jones. Yeah,
James.
I remember just as you said. What the heck? And then who was the American guy again?
Brad Friedel.
Brad, yeah. Sorry, because like the other guest I was thinking of was the one that didn't even come on in the end because there was a mishap, like a delay.
Isn't he stuck in?
Oh, and we recently chatted to Kevin Davis.
Recently, it was literally a few seconds ago.
That's what I mean, my recent. Okay.
Who's you enjoyed speaking to the most?
Kevin Davis. He
was really interesting.
Yeah, he was really fun. Good. Yeah, he's actually the first guy that volunteered to help us to get us in touch with another guest.
That's what it saves Adam some work as well, doesn't it? Because Adam Millichip is having to coordinate things down at the Technowood School. And can we expect a bit of a Christmas edition as well? I mean, can you get Father Christmas, Santa Claus? Is he available to talk to you, or is he not big enough now?
How coincidental! I literally just had a conversation with Adam about that.
Yeah, we just spoke about that, and Alyssa and Tom mentioned about doing maybe a Christmas special. But I know we don't usually publish our shows during or out of term time, so maybe we'll see what we can do. And
we'll scrape something together.
Maybe Santa or Rudolph, you never know.
Yeah, well, Rudolph, I think is.
We all have a reindeer translation app.
Could prove interesting then. So, what have you got planned? Because what season are we in? Remind me what season we're in.
Season 5.
Right, because they fly by, which means we're on to season 6, early part of next year. And I know you're working towards season 6 already, aren't you?
That's true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we are, Jason. So we've, as I say, just interviewed Kevin Davis now, and that will be out in January. So we've got a few guests that we've already spoken to that will be out in January. We've got Sam Allardyce, which will be our first episode of season 6. So yeah, we're pretty good. And the students are fab at getting lots of interviews done and in the bank. So we've got lots of interviews coming up and lots already recorded.
So and who's out for the next Tuesday? Who are we hearing from this coming release?
So next week will be former England goalkeeper Paul Robbinson. So we're going to chat to him all about his England career and his time at Leeds and Tottenham. So yeah, he'll be our next one coming up next week.
And whilst we've mentioned Christmas, what are you two guys up to for Christmas? Anything exciting planned?
I have no idea.
I'm more than likely just going to spend the usual with my family because last year I went up to Wales because my dad's brother lives up there. So that was quite good to do. But yeah, I just love to mix things around during Christmas, really. And
me will probably be the same, hang out with my family and maybe my boyfriend every now and then.
That's cool. That keeps everybody happy. And how are the family coping with your newfound celebrity status?
Celebrity? I didn't notice.
Well, come on. You've now done more than some of the people who are on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. So I think you're more famous than some of the people on there.
Yeah. I've enjoyed each guest like I've always done. It's good just to know like more facts from them, and also there's always like banter each episode. So that's also always a good needy thing to add each episode.
Yeah, my family haven't really been affected much by the whole celebrity thing.
You wait, you recognise in supermarkets, it will come, that time will come.
Oh, we rarely visit supermarkets, probably now for that exact reason.
Well, have a great time with it all. Obviously, some brilliant interviews coming up. More to do as we head through into 2023 and season 6 and beyond. And we're expecting more in the range of merchandise as well, because that's always good fun. Maybe even an advent calendar for the following, or a TWS Sports Podcast calendar. That'd be good, wouldn't it? You talking to the guests. I don't. We've got another challenge for you.
Well, Adam, do you think we can scrape it?
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's swing it.
Yeah, we want to see that for 2023. But we can find you online. Just search for the TWS Sports Podcast. Brilliant work being done by the Technowood School. And thank you both for joining us.
Thanks again, Jason.
Thank you for having us.
Britons believe climate change is the greatest threat to humanity. This has been proven from the research carried out at the launch of a brand new game, Floodland. To tell us more, I'm joined now by developer of Floodland, Alexander Stroganov, and also by actor, author, presenter, and patron for Read for Good, Sir Tony Robbinson. Hello to you both.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you both too. Now, first of all, let's come to you, because in your work on Time Team and all the other historical references we have, you've seen civilizations come and go, and we don't want to be on the way out, do we? Really?
No, we're not the first people to have been beset by this kind of problem. Just ask Noah. And it's not the first time that our climate has been in a position of looking like it could remove 75% of the living creatures on it, of the planet. That's happened about 4 times since before us. I think the problem is, particularly in England, we are really lucky. Apart from anything else, there's been this lovely little interregnum which we call between the ice ages. You know, it's not too cold now, it's not too hot, it's just about right, it's really temperate, stuff grows in the fields, we can have babies, we've got roofs over our heads, etc., etc. We get the sense that that's a permanent state of being, and that anybody who thinks outside that is being a bit kind of lunatic. So when we first started talking about climate change, people were thinking, oh, it can't be that bad, come on, this is Kent, this is Wessex, this is Strathclyde or wherever. That kind of thing doesn't happen here. So I think it's been very difficult for us to get our head around the profundity of the changes that are in the process of taking place.
And with the potential changes that are out there, the world around us could suddenly go from being the nice order that we see now, and even I say that in the current political climate, to something which could be much more disastrous. And Floodland is a new game which Valmonic have put together. And Alexander, this really is about highlighting things, isn't it? And bringing to the fore something that's really going on, but doing it in game format.
Yes, as in the idea was actually to do something serious, and we wanted to, and this is something that a lot of us have been tackling for a while and thinking and mulling it over, and we decided that we were going to put our minds to it and make a game, because that's what we do, but at the same time discussing something that needs to be discussed.
But also, I think looking at the work that Alexander's been doing from my point of view, doing it in a creative and positive and optimistic way. So much of the conversation that we have about global warming is so kind of doomist that it's impossible to kind of think your way out of the gloom, let alone address the issues themselves.
The thing is that one of the questions today was why isn't this a strategic game? And the idea is that often it requires people fighting, and it's about people coming together. It's about actually, and positively, yes, there are differences between the clans of the people who you will meet in the game, but it is your job to overcome those differences and to make people work and to see it in a brighter, positive, more positive light through the colors and the art too.
Yeah, for anybody who isn't yet aware of this game, how can you not? It takes place after the great catastrophe has happened on an island. On that island, there are just a few hundred people who have survived, and the question is, where do we go from here? And that seems to me and to Alexander to be a question we're all not asking ourselves enough. Where do we go from here? And he's done it in this beautiful way. The graphics are fantastic. The acting of the characters is sublime. We were listening to some of it a bit earlier, and you said it was the first time that you'd ever heard it without seeing the animation.
Video, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And it looks great. The colours are fantastic.
And what sort of age range are we aiming this at? Is it really people from every background, every age range to get involved?
So the thing is that we presented it at Gamescom, but we had people who have not been familiar with this specific genre play the game, sort of learning the ropes from the very beginning. And we realized that the game is directed to everyone. So of course, knowing how to play always helps. But this is one of those games that you can just sit down and learn your way into, and actually it's intuitive and you will understand how everything functions.
For someone like me, who I can't even really call myself a gamer, I can call myself an idiot who attacks the screen sometimes. It's absolutely great because it really takes you through what to do, but in a way that someone who understands gaming can either skip or can actually get a little bit from. And then I can go into it and take it really, really slowly at my own pace. I'm not competing against someone in Peking or somewhere. All I'm doing is I'm taking on the world, as it were. And hopefully by the time I've finished, I will learn a little bit more about strategy, about working with people, about solving things which at first seem intractable. And we seem to have lost that over global warming.
Yeah.
You just go and run away from it.
Yeah, and with the work that you did on your series Man on Earth, I mean, you talked about some of the outcomes from that, and the fact we've seen civilizations come and go there. But we, in 200,000 years, we've not seen anything like this, and we've not been as responsible as a population for doing anything like where we've got ourselves to now.
I think we've seen things as terrifying as this, but not on a global scale. Although, maybe Noah would disagree as far as he was concerned. The whole world was flooded. But yeah, going from the remnants of one civilization to another, the same trope constantly occurs, and it's nearly always about water. That you start you either get flooded and quickly you've kind of gone, or else you lose your water sources, or both at the same time. And when you lose your water sources, a small group of people take control and call themselves gods and priests or whatever. Then there's even less water, and the people turn on the gods and priests and kill them. And then they run away. The rest of the people kind of run away into the hinterland and come back about 60 years later and start all over again. So yeah, this is a familiar thing in human history, but we just haven't seen it before in broadband on a wide scale.
Alexander, where can we find the game when it comes down to the platforms we can play on?
Yes, and at the moment it's you can find it on Steam, you can play on PC, and the game is out since the 15th of November.
If you're as ignorant as someone like me, you just Google
it. Yes.
And aside from Googling, Tony, what are you up to at the moment?
I'm working with Read for Good, which is an environmental charity which is distributing books about the environment to schools and to hospitals. And trouble is, nowadays you're not really allowed to say what you're going to do on the telly, because you have to sign the contract to say nothing about them. But all I can say to you is, at Christmas, and I think it's going to be on Christmas Day, I will be on something which hopefully a lot of people will watch and will find very amusing.
NDA allowing. That's interesting stuff. Tony, thank you for joining us. Tony Robbinson, also Alexander Stroganoff from the Floodlands team. And may I wish you much success with the game, and hopefully enlighten people not to wreck the blooming planet, so we can carry on having great games like this, and sending Tony to dig holes in gardens as well, but he's looking for stuff on Time Team and the like.
Thank you.
When it comes to music around the world of football, Steve Heathcock knows a thing or two about to make a very popular song and a fun video and get everybody in the mood for the competition in hand. Did some great work for the Euros. Back again for the World Cup with Follow 3. Hello, sir. How you doing?
How we doing, Jason? You all right?
I'm all right. I trust you're keeping out well and out of trouble.
Well, I'm always in trouble. But I'm keeping well.
That's
well.
good. Yeah. Now, for those who haven't picked up on your name, there's a pretty good chance they've seen you sing. You're one of a number of brilliant acts who work across the region, aren't you?
Yes, I go out as Stevie the Showman, and I do Captain Scarlet and various acts here.
So there's a lot of music in your veins, and every once in a while it escapes out into the world in the form of new songs, as well as some of the brilliant acts that you do when you're out and about in the clubs across the region. And Follow 3 is yet another opportunity to get behind England and have a great time with the World Cup.
Of course, yeah. I think I've got another catch on, Jason. I'll try and keep it simple so the fans can sing along. So yeah, it's a good song, I think. So fingers crossed.
Well, we'll be taking a little listen to it. Now, when it comes to producing the video, tell us a bit about that and how it tells the story of the song, because you always like a beginning, a middle, and end, don't you?
Yeah, well, the song is always written as I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Wolves, as you are, and a fan of England. So I've just, I try and write it as a fan would see it. Try and keep it simple, but from the heart, always from the heart. I'm going to have flags, Black Country flags, St George's flags, and a lot of fun. I've got a few surprises coming in the video, so it's going to be good.
Okay, so we need to make sure we're watching that one. But the song itself, though, who features on there? Is it all you, or have you got some help this time too?
No, I've got a good one, but I'd like to give a few shouts for Bell. I don't know if Alan Bell's been on Stage Studios, Bell's having. That's where it was recorded.
Yeah.
You know Alan?
Yes.
And we've got Colin Tipping on guitar and backing vocals. He's in a duo called the Lost Boys. They play rock. You may have heard of them.
I've seen them on Facebook.
Yeah, they're a very good act. And then you've got Daniel Gardner doing some backing vocals. And then Nick Smith actually come up with the melody. He's a keyboard player. And then we all put it together in the studio.
And again, this is what it's all about, though. Coming together as fans, creating some great music and having a bit of fun. And it'd be great to see what you can do with it. And obviously, it's more about getting it aired than it is about making money from it. But you would like to make some cash too, because I'm going to guess you're going to look after a charity or two.
Yeah, but we're not short on the charities, but they will go to some charity at the end. Yeah, so hopefully whatever we make will go to some charity or another. This time we were not too sure about the charities. Last time was Frank Bruno was involved, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
The mental health, Frank Bruno Foundation, but this time, because obviously there was not a lot of money made for that one, so we're not sure about charity, but we will probably do something with the charity, and we're not sure yet. Maybe I'd like to get someone like Steve Bull involved. But
predictions? I'm hoping you're going to say an England win.
Yeah, of course. They're a nice group, aren't they? On paper, it looks a nice, easy group. So.
But that can sometimes be a club's downfall. But we know that the lads are going to go out there and give their all, and sort of emulate the success that we had with the ladies. Yeah,
of course. The Lioness is fantastic. What an achievement. And maybe I should have wrote a song for the ladies. Because they did fantastic. So proud of you.
They did absolutely brilliantly. Fingers crossed we get a good result. So, music in a moment or two's time. Before we get that, tell us where we can get hold of this and make sure we share it, see what cash we can get in for the as yet to be named charity. But most importantly, get the fans singing along and getting behind the England team.
Okay. Yeah, it's on Spotify, DistroKid, iTunes, Amazon, all streaming platforms. There's probably loads more that I've not named, but they're the 4 or 5 main ones, aren't they? So
yep.
Just put Steve Heathcock or follow through. Put Steve Heathcock and follow 3, and it'll come up. Yeah.
Okay, Steve Heathcock, follow 3. Put that into a search engine. It'll take you to the music pretty much straight away. And of course, you're on Facebook as well, aren't you?
Yes, Steve. I've all got a follow 3 group now, but it was in together, and I've got to follow 3 now, so that they can do as well. There's a follow 3 group.
So check that out. Get on Facebook, check online, and be part of the preparations for, fingers crossed, getting England to a very good stage in the competition. Yeah. We want the final. We want the final. We want that World Cup. Fingers crossed we can get it this time around. Steve, always good to speak to you. Keep up the great work in the studio. Keep doing your thing, raising funds for charity, and look forward to seeing you out on the road, as well as we will talk again closer to the hopefully the middle of the competition, when we're looking forward to England being nicely into the final stages.
That'd be fantastic, Jason. Yes, as always, appreciate your time and a pleasure. And I'll come on the show and appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. So, for now.
Bye now. Bye.
forever, we're England, you see. And three lines together, pride on the line. Bring back the World Cup this time. Forever, we're England, you see. And three lines together, pride on the line. Bring back the World Cup this time. Follow three, three lines forever, we're England, you see. Three lines together, pride on the line. Bring back the World Cup this time. Follow three, three lines forever, we're England, you see. And three lads together, pride on the line. Bring back the World Cup this time. Follow three, three lads forever, we're England, you see. Three lads together, pride on the line. Bring back the World Cup this time.
When it comes down to changing your motor vehicle, it isn't a cheap game. We need to make sure we're getting the best value, not only for now, but also for the future and the planet too. Quintin Wilson joins me now to give us a few tips on how we can get things right. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, we're all coping, which is what counts. So when it comes down to it, at the minute, the car market is quite open. We know that there's an awful lot of used vehicles out there which are coming in at quite high prices, even now. Things have calmed down a little bit when it comes to supply and demand. But when we're thinking about it, we are often thinking about going for an electric vehicle. Yeah, we need to balance out how the costs work for us. What sort of things can we see at the minute?
So look, electric cars are appreciating in value. I mean, there's a huge demand for them. There's not enough coming into the UK because of the semiconductor crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not enough people on lower incomes, those 20% taxpayers like nurses and office workers and council workers, buying them. So at the moment they're the preserve of the middle classes. So I'm saying that we need to make sure that the electric car is democratized and that more people from lower incomes drive them. And the way to do this is to do what's known as salary sacrifice. So your employer puts you in a car scheme with somebody like Tusker, and then that gets you a brand new car, and you offset some of your salary in return. So it's like getting paid in a car, but it cuts those prices right down because you've got this low benefit in kind. So you don't have to sacrifice a huge amount of your salary, and you get everything done: insurance, servicing, MOT, breakdown cover, the works, tires, exhausts, etc. Not the electric cars have exhausts. So they're too expensive for ordinary drivers unless they go on salary sacrifice, and it's a really good thing, and the you don't have to worry about any of the costs. This is why it's so brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it basically puts you on the road. There isn't anything to worry about. You know that it is all covered in the fee that you pay, and it's that insurance can sometimes be higher for electric cars because it isn't being sold in the right way yet. We do know though that all new car sales have to be electric by 2030. Which is frighteningly, 7 years away. So we know that if you're looking to buy an entry-level new car, and people will want to do that because sometimes you don't want the hassle of not knowing the history on a vehicle. Buying a second-hand car does come with its own dangers. You don't get a warranty in the same way as you do with a brand new vehicle. And if you are having to go electric, they do have to be cost effective. Yet with the salary sacrifice scheme, do you end up as the final owner of the vehicle, or is it something that you work as a sort of a mini lease that works out cost effective for you?
It goes back to the leasing company, but then you would want to do that anyway because you can then get another more modern one with maybe a longer range and a bigger battery because this technology is changing all the time. But with second-hand ones, people say, well, I'll go and buy a second-hand electric car. Sometimes, Jason, those used ones are fetching more than the new ones because there's such a huge demand. and I've been driving them for 10 years every day, electric cars, and they just work. There's no problem. The batteries don't degrade significantly, maybe at 300 miles perhaps, but then your combustion engine's tanked at that mileage as well. So they are a really, really, really good way, and the whole life costs across 3 or 4 years significantly less than combustion cars, and people don't realize it's because you don't have any kind of moving parts apart from the motor and the wheels. So you've just got your battery. So no spark plugs, no timing change, no cam belts, no exhausts, no diesel particulate filters, all that sort of thing. So they're really, really, really cheap to run over the long term.
Yeah, and when you are making a set payment every month, it takes away that element of surprise, because even if you are covered by warranty on a new car, you still have the fact that you've got tyres to fork out for. Your insurance is something that you need to think about. And does it work in the same way? As you have to obviously disclose all your driving details to the company when you buy, and it can vary, but only on the insurance part of the contribution you're paying?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got to be completely honest and upfront about your past driving history. But you say insurance for electric cars is expensive. Sometimes it is, but it's coming down. But then, as you say, the insurance companies don't really know how to do this yet. But broadly, they work. I've got 2 electric cars, and I wouldn't go back, Jason. I've driven to France and back in them without any problems at all. So you don't have to put in a deposit or anything like that. You just have this payment, and you sacrifice a bit of your salary, and you're in a brand new car. And this is something that we have to get across to people, because we're talking about air quality in cities, and electric cars are making a huge difference to diesel particulates. So it'll make your life better. They're fast, they're fun, they're quiet, they're silent, and also there's no emissions.
And no clutch.
And no clutch. No, they're all automatic, which is great. Look, I won't tell you what it is, but my electric car goes 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, Jason, which is faster than an awful lot of Ferraris and Lamborghinis. So don't worry about the clutch, mate. It's just hysterically quick. They're lovely things to drive.
And I think in many ways you feel more in control of the car as well. And I drive an automatic. I'm driving an auto diesel at the moment, and that I picked up because I needed a car quickly when someone drove into the side of mine early this year. Now, I had intended my next car to be electric, but I haven't got a scheme that can help me. But by talking to your employer, you can start to set these things up, and a salary sacrifice is certainly where I would be thinking of going for my next vehicle. Hopefully not for a little while yet, but that would be on my horizon.
But go and test drive one, Jason, and you will be absolutely blown away. I call it the Damascene moment, where people get into an electric car for the first time and go, wow, I never knew it could be so good. And then there's no turning back. So if you want to know more about this, it's called Salary Sacrifice. Go to tuskacars.com. And this is the fastest growing way of funding electric cars in the UK. The only problem is we need more of them coming in, because demand is just huge, and there are waiting lists for some electric cars of up to a year.
But it is important to get yourself on that waiting list. It could be something that you're planning for the future for. And so you do maybe have to plan your journey a little bit better if you're looking at charging points. And you said you've gone to France. It is purely about knowing what you're going to do and where you're going to do it. But again, there's less of an unknown with the vehicle, because it is talking to you the whole time, telling you where you are with things.
You're absolutely right. And some electric cars will tell you where the charging points are, set the sat nav, and tell you how much range you've got, and off you go. So it's not one of these things where you've got to fold out a great big map and find out where it is. The car does all the work for you. When I drove to France, I didn't plan it at all, and the car just took me to all these lovely French points, and I'd had my KFC, and by the time I'd finished, I was charged up and ready to go. So it works.
Yeah, because I think sometimes you can get about 80% charge in just over half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's down to like 20-25 minutes on some of the high power chargers. But yeah, I mean, 0 to 80% is easily attainable in half an hour.
Well, give us the details again of where we can find out about Tusker and the work that they're doing to help people use a salary sacrifice to get themselves into an electric vehicle.
So it's salary sacrifice, and think of it of getting paid with a car, and it's tuskacars.com.
And it does work out favourably on tax, doesn't it, that one?
Oh, yeah. And this isn't a cheat. This is the government saying because people drive electric cars, that's better for the environment. That means less particulates, less respiratory problems, and less burden on the national health. And this is just the right thing to do. So I'm saying to the government, don't meddle with this in the budget. Leave it the way it is. Otherwise, I'm incandescent, because we need to get more people of lower income into electric cars so they can enjoy the benefits of clean air as well.
Yeah, so that's the bit that worries me. You get all these clean air zones. It's actually targeting people who can't afford a new car. This could hopefully be a good way of doing it.
Yeah, and it really is cost effective, and it's democratizing the electric car and helping air quality in cities. And governments should think not electorally, but in a generational cycle. And this is why I don't want them to unpick all this legislation, because, you know, we need it, and the next generation and the generation after that needs it too.
Well, fingers crossed they make it better, which would be even more acceptable. Quintin Wilson, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure, Jason.
On Saturday, the 26th of November, it is the start of the big Christmas period for the Marsh Lane plant sale. They've got shirts, they've got everything. Anthony Hall is going to tell me more. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jason. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right now. I wasn't expecting to be in your grotto at this point in the evening, but
yeah. A rather small grotto.
It is.
Bit of a tight fit, isn't it?
It is. So this is mostly where you're going to have your mother working, isn't it? She's going to be the elf in the workshop.
Yeah, it's going to be full of different surprises in here.
But this is just the start of what's going on, because I'm hearing 6,000 lights.
Yeah, 6,000 plus light. It's our big Christmas light switch on next Saturday. The Christmas trees go on sale, the holly wreaths go on sale, and we've got lots of surprises as well. We open the gate at 11 o'clock in the morning. We're open till 5 o'clock. We have lots of bits and bobs going on in the evening between 4 and 5 o'clock. We've got...
And it's dark enough for the lights to look good then?
Yeah, hopefully. So we're saying between 4:30 and 5 that the lights will be switched on. We've gone above and beyond this year. Although, obviously, we was a little bit wary with the old kind of price rise and everything, but Christmas has still got to go ahead.
It has, and you're going to be making it special. You've been doing that all year. How much have you managed to raise this year? Do you know the figures for so far?
We're above last year's target. Now, last year, we was only open for a short period. We raised just over £500. We're already above that target, and we're looking forward to... advertising that at the end of the year.
So that's going to be something to be good.
Yeah,
but there is you respect the Christmas tree, respect the rest of the plants, but there will be some great outdoor stuff available to go in the garden too.
Yeah, no, definitely. One of our biggest things that we've got this year, we've got the Lavender Girls coming to perform here. They perform in lots of different West End productions. They do a lot of local gigs, and they're coming to open up our Christmas display. As well as Father Christmas. Father Christmas is obviously going to be here. We've got the mulled wine, the mince pies. And I'm actually stepping out of retirement for a little while, and I'm actually going to do a bit of fire eating as well.
Okay, so that's quite good.
Yeah,
that's going to be amazing,
yeah,
and it keeps you warm during these times as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So where do we find you? Give us all the details.
Okay, so we're in Marsh Lane, Ford Houses, Wolverhampton, WV10 6RX. We're right opposite Ormiston Academy. You can't miss us. All the boards, all the banners are out there to direct you in.
So come along, get there, and get yourself your Christmas tree, real Christmas trees.
Yeah, the number one Christmas trees, actually, Jason. They're Nordman fir. They're guaranteed to last you a minimum of 2 months. Low needle droppers and smell absolutely gorgeous.
So that is the way to do it. Make Christmas in your home work, courtesy of the Marsh Lane Plant Sale. Raising some brilliant funds as well, looking for your donations for charity at the same time. And you can enjoy your festivities just as much as you're going to enjoy putting the whole Christmas display together.
Do you know, I'm like a big kid when it comes to Christmas.
He's an absolute child. He's absolutely crazy.
Tinsel galore, bit of glamour, bit of glitz and glamour.
He's a happy man. Right, Anthony, thanks for that. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon. And we won't be able to miss you because the lights will be on.
Yes, no, definitely. There's a glowy Marsh Lane this year.
That's it all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me as ever. Hopefully you'll be with us for the next 700 episodes too. I will see you soon. 701 next week. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar.